Now, your forecast first, sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
All right, take a look at the temperatures here tonight, and it is quite chilly. 19 in Champaign, 20 in Springfield right now, but with the wind, it feels even colder. We've got single digits in some spots, feels like 10 in Champaign. So the cold, yeah, that's one thing, but soon it's going to be the rain, the ice, and the snow. Nothing like that tonight. As a matter of fact, when you drive to work tomorrow morning, you shouldn't have any issues. A little cold, you may be scraping some frost off of the windshield at 19, but the rain and the snow holding off until later into the afternoon. There is a winter weather advisory in effect. We'll talk about the latest on the amounts and the timing coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
It's the law. You can't tell me what to say.
One man says he was kept from speaking at a school board meeting by the board president. How the state got involved.
Plus, marijuana is legal for adults, but it can be dangerous, even deadly for pets. The message veterinarians are sending.
Illinois has been hit hard in the trade feud with China. What it means for people here now that a deal has been signed.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
You can't censor public participation.
This man was silenced by the RANTOUL school board president during public comment at an open meeting. Now the Illinois Attorney General has ruled the school board broke the law. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jessica Coons. In October, a man was cut off by the board president while trying to talk about violence and the district's disciplinary policy. Months later, after an investigation, the Attorney General announced the school board violated the Open Meetings Act. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen is live in our newsroom tonight. Jennifer, the board president addressed this at the meeting tonight.
Jessica, he did. He made a point to publicly apologize for what he did, but the investigation and the ruling came as a surprise to some of the other school board members. As you'll see in this story, some say they were left in the dark about the investigation and the ruling until tonight. What started with an interruption
He wanted to control what I was saying.
ended with a public apology from the RANTOUL school board president, Bill Sweat.
I should not have interrupted you and redirected your conversation. I should let you on and continue. So therefore, I offer you my apology for interrupting you.
He admitted his wrongdoing to Wendell Golston, a man who tried to speak during public comment at a school board meeting back in October. That night, he started by referencing a shooting that happened earlier that day involving two teenagers. Both the shooter and the victim used to go to RANTOUL High School. So Wendell wanted to ask the school board to consider reviewing and improving the district's disciplinary policy to help students.
I wanted them to be aware of what was going on out in the community, how it's affecting everything.
Sweat interrupted him, stopping Golston from speaking, saying that his comment did not pertain to school business.
I felt that he was being unfair with not allowing me to speak openly about a topic that was dear to me, that is still dear to me. He was telling me that what I was saying is not what he wanted to hear.
Soon after, Golston sent a letter to the Attorney General's office about what happened. Just this week, the AG's office ruled that the school board violated the Open Meetings Act by restricting Golston's comments.
Honestly, I did not think it was a violation.
When Sweat apologized, it was met with shock from some of the other school board members.
I didn't know about the Attorney General stuff. I didn't have an idea.
November 4th, you were notified October 31st, and now we're hearing about it January 16th.
The Attorney General cited the entire board for the violation.
The board did not make a mistake. Bill Sweat made a mistake.
But that response wasn't good enough for some.
I'm part of this team. We should have been copied on your response.
That was the whole reason it was.
You should have copied us on your response.
So my bad, I didn't copy you on your response.
You're bad. So you are making a mockery of this boardroom.
During public comment, one person spoke up asking for the board president's resignation. Sweat responded saying he would not do that because he didn't feel his actions warranted it. In the newsroom, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. The Attorney General's office says, quote, the Open Meetings Act does not authorize the board president's interruption because it addressed the content of Mr. Golston's comments rather than a procedural matter. Plus, Golston's comments were not personal attacks, profane, or disruptive.
A man pleaded not guilty today to the murder of his 4-month-old son. Isaac Curry will be examined to see if he's mentally fit to stand trial. Curry told police he dropped the baby in their home in Lerna last month. He said he knew the fall hurt him but didn't call 911. Doctors say it was impossible. The baby's injuries were caused by a drop or fall. A man in Champaign was sentenced to 10 years in prison after pleading guilty to shooting another man. Levante Neal shot the man in the stomach during an argument in July. That victim survived. Neal pleaded guilty to aggravated battery and firing a weapon.
A man who was beaten outside of a Buckley bar in 2017 believes the man who hurt him got off, quote, lucky. 27-year-old Shane Weber pleaded guilty to aggravated battery for beating Michael Hilligoss. He's sentenced to 4 years of probation. Hilligoss says it was a relief to hear Weber plead guilty, but says it's not enough because he'll have to live with his injuries for the rest of his life.
To me, he's not a man. I mean, I'm sorry I'm getting older, but he shouldn't have thumped me. He shouldn't have beat me up.
I can't say I forgive him yet. Eventually, I probably will forgive him, but at the moment, the pain is still there.
Investigators also looked into a possible connection between Shane Weber and the death of Daniel Connolly. Connolly died from asphyxiation outside of that same Dutch Master bar in late 2016, but the state's attorney's office says they did not have enough evidence to charge Weber for that. Veterinarians at the U of I are warning people to watch how they handle the use of marijuana around their pets. They have had at least 2 cases of what was likely marijuana intoxication in animals. Experts recommend thinking of marijuana the same way you think about your medication. Keep your pills in a medicine cabinet and do the same with your pot. The executive director of the Champaign County Humane Society says pets can get into just about anything.
And you know that dogs like to take desserts off the table, and they don't discriminate. It doesn't matter how it tastes. They're gonna eat it if it seems interesting to them. So you really do have to be careful. You can't assume that they won't like, pot brownies or whatever you've got.
The risks for animals if they do ingest marijuana are significant. Some of them will act lethargic. It also can lower their heart rate. In some cases, they'll go into comas, and in extreme cases, they could die.
Here's an update from 6 o'clock. SIU and UIS leaders announced a downtown innovation district will be coming to Springfield. They say business, incubation, acceleration, and technology innovation are the big goals. They hope it will help build talent in the area. A location was announced tonight. They'll release a business plan in the coming weeks. They're taking public input until then. University of Illinois Board of Trustees approved increasing tuition today for in-state freshman students. It'll go up almost 2% in Champaign-Urbana. This is the first increase for students in 6 years. Base tuition for in-state undergrads will go up by about $218 to $12,254 a year. It'll help with a faculty hiring initiative that started this year. U of I is trying to attract more educators due to increased enrollment. Tuition is going up by 1% at the Springfield campus. U of I President Tim Killeen is getting a raise. He's getting a contract extension, too. That's going to be for 4 years. He'll receive around $835,000 annually starting July 1st. His original deal was worth $700,000 a year.
Another administrator could join Decatur Public Schools, but they need to find someone to hire first. The district has at least 70 vacant teaching positions, and this morning officials added one more job to be filled. This administrative position is focused on data gathering. Officials say in a district of more than 10,000 kids, they need someone to interpret and analyze student data. They have not set a salary. One school district is considering keeping students in school on Veterans Day. The Champaign School District says it would give them more flexibility with the rest of their schedule. It could add a day to a break or give them another Teacher Institute day. If students do go to school on Veterans Day, they will be required to learn about its history in the classroom.
Students at one school are looking to the future. Members of the Future City Club at Urbana Middle School showed off their city model tonight with a presentation. It was their dress rehearsal for their regional competition in Chicago on Saturday. Each year has a theme with a problem they have to overcome. This time it was clean water. The group used its city's surroundings to their advantage to come up with a solution.
since it's on an island, like, we had to think about how to get water, like, and we did that with desalination, which, I mean, not a lot of places currently do that. I think that will become something more common in the future.
The group's been working on the project since September. In addition to creating the model section of the virtual city, they also had to write a research paper. Some in Piatt County are hoping to turn an idea into reality. Sage Air Incorporated wants to bring back an airport to the area and met tonight in Monticello to talk about it. The old airport was torn down last fall after the lease expired. A new airport could be used by aviation enthusiasts and farmers to crop dust. Before the group can go to the county with the idea, though, it needs 5 people to commit to building hangars first.
We want commitment from other people to show need and desire. So unless we see 5 people or more committed, not just talking about being committed, but physically interested and committed and willing to do something about it, we don't want to build an airport if there isn't desire or need. And those 5 people would show that there is.
5 people did not commit to building hangars tonight. The group will be sending a letter to everyone who was at the meeting to try again.
Icy, snowy weather is on the way. Who's prepared to make sure your lights don't go out?
Plus, China and the U.S. have a deal, what that means for you.
And later, you can't go any higher than a perfect 10 in gymnastics, but that's not the only way one U of I gymnast is raising the bar.